Dear viewers, thank you so much for joining us this session. Last couple of weeks, we arranged a number of series for to help you out regarding the admission journey. Basically, last week we invited one of the faculty from Sheffield Hallam University to discuss about the PhD on business management, and week before, we invited another guest from University of Sheffield Architecture Department. I believe those videos, personally, we try to customize the conversation so the student who are particularly thinking to start their PhD journey on architecture or business management or any kind of other courses related to business may find it helpful before they approach to any faculties or any supervisors, because it is really important for a student to understand first why a PhD they should take, and then what are the criteria they should understand before they approach a faculty. Otherwise, it seems most of the time students are trying to reach out to faculties. Unfortunately, they are not getting a response within a short time because faculties are extremely busy and they receive thousands of email from so many students that really they are keen to have some quality students. So if your research proposal or if your preparation is not 100% perfect, I would not say definitely 100%, but if it is not in the right way, definitely you will not you will not get a response from a faculty very soon. But if your preparation is good, if your proposals are okay, and it is kind of something you have in your hand, then definitely any faculty they would love to listen to you. From our perspective, let me clear one thing. We are here to support you with information only. We never offer any kind of guaranteed offer. We are not providing any kind of services. We are not kind of asking for any money. So please do not try to reach out to us, or I would not recommend to reach out to us about those grounders. So you just explore the video, and I hope the information we are trying to produce through our platform you will find it beneficial. Today we have invited also a very special guest from University of Coventry, and let me invite the guest here, and then we'll have a further conversation from there. So let me welcome Dr. Karim Ahmed. He is Assistant Professor, University of Strategy and Leadership, Coventry University, United Kingdom. So hello, Dr. Karim. Thank you so much for making your time and joining us today. So to start with, we would like to brief you further about about the department, particularly you will look into that is really exciting department and a course what I believe is strategy and leadership. So do you mind to talk in general about this department so the student understand and help them to understand who are choosing to do their PhD on this particular area?
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Hadi Rahman. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending on where you're joining us from. It's a pleasure to be here. Now, embarking on a PhD journey is probably one of the most difficult decisions you'll be making in your life. It's a life-changing decision. But before we talk about that, as mentioned, my name is Dr. Karim Ahmed. I'm an assistant professor at Coventry University. Now, the School of Strategy and Leadership is one of four schools in the Faculty of Business and Law at Coventry University. And within our school, we focus on topics such as project management, strategy, decision making, multi-criteria decision analysis. And we also do touch upon a bit of marketing. However, that's more in the School of Marketing. We touch upon other aspects as well, such as risk management and international management as well. So that is the oversight of our kind of school and the research topics we look at. Does that answer the question?
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, thank you so much. So, as you know, as your research interest is leadership, strategy, and supply chain management, is kind of related to product management as well.
Yeah.
What are the areas you'd recommend, like if any student want to consider them to do a PhD on this particular subject? I mean, why you would recommend them to do a PhD on product management or supply chain management? What are the area of working, or what are the area of scope so they can explore?
So that's a very good question, and we get asked this question a lot by many students. The decision to make a PhD, well, first of all, doing PhD means that you get to explore all of the latest research out there, You get to be familiar with the latest topics and trends, and it gives you an opportunity to kind of explore what kind of interests you a little bit more. So some of the hot topics right now are sustainability, industry 4.0, where we're moving actually now into industry 5.0, automation, the use of drones and technology, understanding, for example, the implications of VUCA, so volatile, uncertainty, and ambiguity, as we've all experienced over the past couple of years, coronavirus and the knock-on effect of that. So you could either go into industry and work and kind of be a part of an institution or and pursue that career, or you could go into doing a PhD, and this could broaden your horizons. Now, a lot of people believe that because I'm doing a PhD, this means I have to be an academic. This is not necessary. We have a lot of PhDs who go on to work in industry, and actually, you can do your PhD in collaboration with a company. And this means you're getting the best of both worlds. So, balancing out literature and research along with the industrial experience at the same time.
Excellent, excellent. So product management at the area you just mentioned, this is so exciting, and this is the current trend, as you mentioned, like drone technologies, and then particularly for this corona time. So, whom you would recommend to come for a PhD for product management? Do you think, like, is there any particular grades or particular area they need to study in their bachelor or masters, and they can come here, or kind of, maybe they have done something else in their bachelor or masters, and then they can join product management or supply chain management as their PhD? Can they consider it?
So that's a very good question. Again, another kind of key question we get asked a lot. Although our preference is for students with a background in a similar topic, so for example, a background in business or production or engineering even, the PhD avenue is open to everyone. It depends on the actual research proposal that you develop. Now, if you haven't already explored, research proposal is one of the most important documents in your application, where you express kind of the research topic you're interested in. You indicate that you are clear on the latest research. Now, if you submit a research proposal that has articles from the year 1992, 1993, remember, this is about 30 years ago, which means it's quite outdated. So when you're doing a research proposal, I think we'll touch upon this a little bit further as well. The research proposal shows us as a potential supervisor how well the student is going to fit within the research direction we have within our team.
Excellent, excellent. So if a student start their PhD on product management or maybe supply chain management, what is the normal timeline they need to take to finish the product? I mean, finish their PhD. How long generally it takes?
So in the UK, it generally varies between universities, but the general kind of consensus, you can do a PhD full-time or part-time. A full-time PhD is about 3 years. A part-time is about 6 to 7 years.
Excellent, excellent. So to start with, if a student wants to consider them for their PhD, what are the steps you would recommend them to follow, particularly for this product management or supply chain management? From where they should start with?
So that's a very good question. And the first point of reference I would suggest is look at a couple of universities that you would be interested in, identify the potential kind of research supervisors who are working in the area of product management or supply chain management or even project management. Look at their research profile. Most of us will have indicated on their pages kind of the publications we have and the research interests. So go and look at the research publications of those potential supervisors. I mean, it doesn't make any sense for you to start talking to a supervisor if you don't actually know what they've published or what kind of research area they're interested in. Once you've started looking at those research papers, start to draft a research proposal. Now, the key question I get asked a lot is, well, I don't know what topic I want to talk about. So this is where you would need to go onto those kind of supervisor pages, look at the latest publications, and then from there, start to find out what the latest trends are in the research. Now, one of the things a lot of students struggle with is something called shiny syndrome, where you see something you think is very shiny and you're like, okay, this is the thing I want to research. This is fantastic. Remember, do your due diligence. My general advice, don't start speaking to the supervisor until you have read at least 20 academic papers. This is because it will give you a good kind of rounded approach, a good understanding for the kind of the literature out there. But not only this, it gives you something to talk about with the supervisor. So you could have a meeting with the supervisor and say, well, I was reading this paper published in 2021, and they said this topic was the latest trend. And then that kind of sparks a conversation, which would then develop your research proposal. Now, a key thing to remember, a lot of students forget this. The research proposal, you will go through about 5 to 10 iterations of it. So the research proposal you start writing is not the one that you will submit with your application. If you draft your own proposal, submit it with an application, you will probably get a rejection because you haven't had that conversation with the supervisor to streamline it better. So once again, to answer the question, go and look at the universities you're interested in, look at the research profile of those academics, look at all of the papers they have published. From there, look at the references in each of those papers and start reading some more papers from there. Based upon this, start drafting your research proposal. Then, based upon this, try to have a conversation with your potential supervisor, understand kind of their availability, the topic they're interested in, and based on that, start to fill out the university application and fill out all of the documents that are required. Now, if you don't know the structure for the research proposal, a lot of universities have on their website guidance for how to write a research proposal. So make sure that you familiarize yourself with this. And if you turn around and say, well, I've seen 3 different websites, each one is telling me something different, the advice generally is go for kind of like a general approach, where you start off with the introduction, the literature review, the methodology, and kind of an overview of what it is you're trying to achieve. However, remember that what you're writing at the beginning will change a lot of times. And I think this is the most difficult concept people struggle to grasp when they're applying for a PhD.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Karim. You explained it, in a nice way. So I believe the student, when they will understand, they will try to go through their steps. You already mentioned about, the proposal, how draft proposal. Many students or many applicants, they think, let's have a conversation first with a supervisor and see if my topic they find it interesting, or maybe the supervisor might have an existing project or proposal where I can collaborate or I can start with. So in that kind of circumstance, what would be your advice for those applicants?
The advice would still be the same. Don't start a conversation without knowing what you're going to talk about. I mean, I've had students come and speak to me about potential PhD supervision, but they had no idea about the research topics, the research direction, or the latest publications. So even if you're interested in joining a research project, you still have to do your due diligence, do some research into the supervisor, what publications they have, and kind of the research direction for the university or the institution that you're applying for.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. So let's come back to Coventry. Like, definitely, you are accepting PhD students, right?
Yes, we are currently accepting PhD students at Coventry University.
Excellent, excellent. So, if you would like a student to approach you, what the factors you'd recommend them to consider before they, approach you for a supervision or any of the, departmental supervisor if they want to approach it? What would be your advice for them?
So in Coventry in particular, we have something called research centers. And so you're not just looking at the PhD supervisor or the potential kind of supervisor, you're also looking at the research center itself in terms of the research direction and kind of other people's collaborations and other people's topics. Now, one thing to remember when you're working on a PhD, it's not just one supervisor. According to certain UK guidelines, a lot of universities have a minimum of 2 supervisors, maybe even 3. So it's worth considering who you would like to collaborate with. And it could be 2 different supervisors in the same research center with different kind of backgrounds. So for example, you might want to have a supervisor focusing on project management or product management, and another one focusing on sustainability. And that way, it kind of covers the different aspects of your research. Now, another point to keep in mind when looking for a university, if you are going to be funded by your government or if there's any sponsorship available for you, read the credentials and make sure that it is in line with what your university, with what the university is offering. So sometimes there are certain requirements from governments in terms of funding certain institutions or certain research topics that they will be willing to fund. So make sure that you've checked this clearly. Otherwise, you waste your time, the supervisor's time, and only to say, well, my funding is not available.
Exactly, yeah. So excuse me. So if you're a student, trying to submit an application to you, definitely with the proposal and the necessary documentation that are needed, what are the timeline normally takes to get a kind of get a placement?
So with most universities, they have set deadlines for applications. So usually it's with PhDs, it's a three intakes. So you've got January, May, and September. And so you want to try to work to about 6 months before that deadline to start the conversation. Now, how long it will take for a supervisor to get back to you, it depends on when you're sending it. I mean, if you're sending the email just before Christmas holidays, they won't respond until the middle of January. It also depends because PhD supervisors are also quite busy with teaching and sometimes marking as well. So the general advice is give it about 2 to 3 weeks to hear back from them. And from there, the discussion will take an organic kind of process. The other thing I would strongly advise you to do is don't send 15 emails in a week trying to say, supervisor, hello, I haven't heard back from you. If we haven't responded, it's probably because we're very busy. I mean, I get about 80 to 90 emails a day. So do give us some time to get back in touch with you. The most
Right.
important thing is in your first email, make sure you've included your proposal, your research interests, the research topic you're looking to explore, and make it clear that you've looked at the supervisor's profile and the research center or the institution's profile as well. This will make you stand out amongst the crowd.
Right, excellent. So finally, the most awaited question I'm going to ask that is related to funding. I mean, what are the opportunities? I know maybe Coventry may have few additional funding. You are looking for self-funded students at the moment, but what are the funding opportunities for product management or supply chain management? This industry, in particular, that area.
So with funding, with all universities, not just Coventry University, any opportunities for funding would be advertised clearly on our web pages. So make sure you go to the PhD pages, have a look at the ongoing research projects, availability for funding, or calls for applicants. When it comes to the funding application, once again, the people who start the conversation with a clear profile, a full kind of application document with a clear proposal, they're the ones we are most likely going to spend time to actually get to speak to them in more detail. The funding in the UK, different institutions offer different things. Some of them, the funding only covers tuition. Others, the funding will cover tuition and a monthly stipend. And others, it covers tuition, accommodation, and the monthly stipend as well. But across the board, whether you're in Coventry or other universities, excuse me, your PhD will also have a little bit of money on the side to support you to travel for conferences around the world and to support you to get publications as well.
Perfect, perfect. Last but not the least, from
Yeah.
my side, definitely, what would be your advice for those new applicants who'd like to send an email to a faculty? Like definitely, I know, we have seen the students, or maybe you have been receiving lots of emails as well from students. What are the common mistakes they do, and what you would advise them to avoid when they are looking for a supervisor?
So that's a very good point, and I'm glad you asked that question. The most important thing, once again, is the research proposal. If the research proposal is on marketing and you're sending it to me for product management, obviously, I'm not going to even respond because clearly you've not looked at my profile. You've clearly not taken the time to understand who you're emailing. Make sure that the email that you're sending is not a generic email. I mean, of course, all emails have a kind of standard guidelines, but make sure that it is clear you've done your research with that particular academic. The other very, very frustrating point is using outdated research. So using literature from 1980 and 1990, not spell checking. So, I mean, it's 2022. By now, everyone should be able to spell check their proposal before sending it in, please. We're not talking about grammar. Not everyone's English is first language. English is not everyone's first language, and we understand that. But at least take some time, review it, make sure it makes sense, and make sure that the spelling is checked. So make sure the email is clear to the supervisor that you've read about their profile. Make sure that your literature is up to date. Make sure your proposal is clear, and make sure that you've actually seen the website and the ongoing research projects.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Karim, for those valuable advice. I believe the future applicants they will find it beneficial, and all the guideline, all the steps you included during this session. I believe if a student or if an applicant, if they go through all these stages, they'll find it easier to reach out to your faculty, and they will be, I think they could secure an offer finally. We really would like to, best wishes, and show our thankful, kind of thankfulness to all these students or all these academics or all these future applicant who would like to apply for their PhD. So thank you, Dr. Karim. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining us here and saying your words. I believe this will really make the process easier. And yes, so dear students or applicant, it is really nice to have Dr. Karim here today. He tried to cover up all that problems that students or applicants they're making before they start their PhD journeys. Here and research admission platform, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is a platform where you find information that help you to start your PhD journey. Again, we never guarantee, we never secure, or we never help with your admission process. This is just an information platform. So any student who are looking into the videos, they find it beneficial before they approach any faculties. So this will help them to avoid a rejection and secure an offer at the lowest time. Thank you so much. And next week and maybe in July, we have been aiming to invite a number of PhD students who have already started their PhD journey, and they will share about their experience, why they have decided to join that particular university or particular subject, what the benefits. Please feel free to stay with us, and hopefully the future videos you will find it beneficial as well, because they'll be talking about their subject areas and how they secure their scholarship, how they secure their supervisors, so what are the difficulties they have been facing. So stay in touch with us, and hopefully you will find it beneficial. Thank you so much for your time today. Wish you all the very best for the rest of the day. Thank you.